Hello beautiful people, my name is Vendi and today I'm going to be telling you some books that I'm just never going to read. So since joining BookTube, I have been inundated basically daily with the new books that are coming out every single year. And as much as I would absolutely love for my entire life to be just waking up, reading, eating something, reading some more, taking maybe another power nap, having some tea, eating more food, and then reading, repeat, ad infinitum, my life isn't like that. Like most people, my time is very valuable to me and I have to budget it accordingly. Unfortunately, that means leisure things that I do for fun, often have to be the first to go, and my favorite thing to do for fun, because I don't get paid to do this, is to read books. Because of this, I have to be, like all of you guys, fairly selective in the books that I read, and only read the ones that I think will mean something to me at that particular point in time. And because of how saturated the publishing world is, there are far more books that I don't want to read than books that I really emphatically do. Sometimes though, the books that I'm actively avoiding reading are ones that are fairly popular here on the BookTubes, and I thought it would be fun to expose myself to ridicule and anger and make a video about those books in particular. It's not that I think that those books are inherently bad. It's just I'm not interested in reading them for whatever reason, and I have other books that I want to get to more. And today I'm going to be giving you 5 of those books that I don't care about. For the purposes of this video, I'm focusing on books that are coming out in 2018. A lot of them are parts of series, and if I mention one of these books here, you can pretty much be assured that I'm not interested in the rest of the series as well. I'm not going to give a disclaimer because we're all adults here, or close enough to it that it shouldn't be necessary for me to tell you that there's honestly nothing wrong with having differing opinions. If that's something that you struggle with, maybe click away. But for those of you who want to stick around and hear me talk some smack about some potentially popular 2018 books, stick around. Here it goes. This is a bad idea. So the first book coming out in 2018 that I do not care to read is Immortal Reign, book number 6 of the Fallen Kingdoms series by Morgan Rhodes. I just checked, it's 6 books. So it's book number 6, it's the last one. And basically what Fallen Kingdoms is it is a YA high fantasy series. So I read the first book, Fallen Kingdoms, just about a year ago now, and I was super hyped about it because it had been presented to me as a sort of Game of Thrones-esque story of political intrigue and magic. So that's what I was expecting, and what I got in turn was, one, no dragons, which really bummed me out, because I feel like in this world in particular there could definitely have been some dragons, but that's not really to the story's detriment. What was to the story's detriment was the inconsistent characterization and the forcibly broody, ooh, I'm not like other boys main character, Magnus. Also the weird incestuous love thing, trying to be Jaime and Cersei from Game of Thrones and failing spectacularly. I hear that Magnus gets better. I hear that he stops creeping on his little sister, but I don't care. I don't care to see him get better. I don't care about the series. I don't care about any of the characters. When I flipped the final page, I could not tell you what they were all called. I know Magnus because he icked me out, but that's about it. So yeah, Immortal Reign, never gonna read it. Probably never gonna read the rest of Fallen Kingdoms either. Sorry about it. The number 2 book that I'm just never gonna read is Lethal White, the 4th book of the Cormoran Strike series by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, aka the mother of Harry Potter. Except I've divorced her from the idea of Harry Potter. So Harry Potter was the series through which I learned the English language. I read the story out loud to lose my accent, and in the meanwhile I fell in love with this world and Harry and Hermione and Ron and all of the shenanigans they got to. So I really love Harry Potter and I'm very grateful to the series as it is. When I look at it objectively though, it's not the world's best written story, and I don't think J.K. Rowling is that great a writer, particularly her other works, but that would have been fine. However, then things started going south with this series that I love so much. Cursed Child was a trash fire, and I don't consider it Harry Potter canon, and I feel like when you can't consider something canon that an author has like stamped her name, her seal of approval onto, you sort of, you lose faith in the author, and I lost faith in J.K. Rowling's writing and choices she makes for Harry Potter that day, which would have been fine. Like, I still would stand both J.K. and Harry Potter, no problem. However, on the Twitterverse, our pal J.K. is very vocal about her distaste for America's current president, Donald Trump, which, me too. However, the way she goes about criticizing him is by saying he has things like a personality disorder, which he's not diagnosed, so unless she's gotten a degree in psychology that none of us know about, she can't really diagnose that. And when people who actually have personality disorders asked her to maybe please stop, she was kind of a huge, giant jackass about it, blocked a lot of people, said they were bullying her, sent her Twitter followers on like a rage witch hunt against these poor people who were just asking she doesn't make fun of their mental illness so blatantly and carelessly. So that was gross. Also, her continued support for Johnny Depp. Yeah, let's not talk about that. I just think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting behavior, especially when you have a platform that big. So I've mentally divorced her from the Harry Potter series. She can't add to it. The canon is done. It's those 7 books, and I will die on that hill, and she's not a part of it for me anymore. Sure, her name is on the cover of the books, so is Harry Potter's. His name appears just as much as hers does, and the Harry Potter in my head would never stand for the things that she's standing for right now. So in light of all those things, I can no longer personally, it's totally cool if you do, I can't morally support her in any financial way. Homegirl has enough money. I'm not even gonna be a drop in her cup, but it makes me feel better knowing that I'm not supporting somebody who's become cruel, I think. So yeah, also stay tuned for an I Hate Snape video. Book number 3 is Warstorm, a Red Queen novel by Victoria Aveyard. This is the first book on this list where I've not read any of the series, and I also haven't read anything by the author. The thing about Red Queen is that I've heard that the series is basically a mashup of everyone's cherry-picked favorite young adult sci-fi and fantasy tropes mashed into one work. And how effective that is very much depends on who you are as a reader. Some people really like it. A lot of people really don't. Some of my favorite book reviewers and other booktubers happen to belong to the don't camp. And because my reading tastes are very similar to some of those people's, and because I trust them and their opinions, I don't think I'm going to be getting to this series ever. Book number 4 on my list is A Court of Frost and Starlight. I think that's the title. It's the new A Court of Thorns and Roses novella epilogue book thing by Sarah J. Maas. I've only read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and I wasn't the biggest fan, but I don't absolutely hate it the way some people seem to do, and I think I'm going to be continuing that series just to sort of see how it wraps up, considering the final novel in it is coming out this year. I'm also huge trash for any Fae story ever, so I'm definitely going to be picking up A Court of Thorns and Roses just so that I can have read A Court of Mist and Fury, because everyone seems to absolutely rave about that one. And as a result, I'm probably going to read A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the 3rd book of that trilogy, even though everyone says that it doesn't really do much of a job concluding it as it should, because she seems to be using it as a setup for the spin-off novels that seem to be coming. But the thing about the word trilogy is it implies 3, not 4, 3. So writing an epilogue story, while nice, also just feels a little bit disingenuous. Like, why didn't you put the concluding stuff from that story into the 3rd book and then trust that your fans love this world enough that they'd read the spin-off anyway? When I mentally prepared myself to read this trilogy, I was not mentally preparing for 4 books. I was mentally preparing for 3. And however it concludes in A Court of Wings and Ruin, that's how the story is going to end for me. And book number 5 that I'm just never ever going to read is Legendary, the follow-up to Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I have found that the thing that pisses me off most in books is inconsistent characterization, and when characters don't act the way that their previous actions have led you to believe they should act, but just do things gung-ho just because the plot requires it of them at the time. That's all Caraval is. And even then, the plot wasn't strong enough to make the characters acting to serve it feel believable anyway. Sometimes it works. Some books are plot driven and that's absolutely fine. I don't know what was driving Caraval. It wasn't characters, because they were pretty two-dimensional. It wasn't the plot, because the plot was mediocre at best. Not interested in reading Legendary. Caraval ended. There was a conclusion, so that story arc is over as far as I'm concerned. I'm not interested in reading a book that deals so casually with abuse as Caraval did, and I'm not sure if it's going to get fixed in Legendary, and I don't care to know. Alrighty guys, if you're not already in the comments typing out, "You're so stupid, this is the best book of all time, you're an idiot for not reading it, and so is your mom," then thank you. I really appreciate you for not doing that and for realizing we can have differing opinions. If you are writing those things, I encourage you to be respectful. I don't really know what you expected otherwise. I'm just trying to be honest and entertaining. So I really, really encourage you to keep that in mind and to be respectful. If you really, really love a book, then please make a case for it. If this video hurts your feelings in any way, I hesitate to say I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, but also I encourage you to think about why somebody else's opinion about something that's not directly tied to you matters to you so much. That said, if something I did say hurt you, I'm sorry. If you agree with me on any of these things, please be salty with me in the comments below. I'm always down for that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like me, maybe consider subscribing. Until next time, guys, that's it from me. Don't take this video too seriously if you love any of these books, and I will see you with a new video fairly soon. Goodbye.